Hi, this is Neville J. Mackenzie with asiatechpodcast, and my guests today are Saurish, Nandi, and Kenny Ko. Yep,
Yeah,
I got
hi,
that right?
good
You
afternoon.
got it right, yeah.
Yeah, pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
Can you just, Kenny, can you just introduce yourself and your company?
Okay. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the BlocBox, and Saurish is my CTO and co-founder. So BlocBox is a new startup. Basically, it's a company that deals with data analytics for transport assets. Largely, you are talking about ships as well as aviation planes and commercial planes and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you just tell me a bit more about your background?
Myself, I have been operating a satellite communication company for, I think, 16 years now. Sorry, 17. It's 2019. So yes, it's 17 years. For the past 17 years, I have been providing remote communication, for land and transport assets like ships, as well as of recent, even planes. So yes, I have been doing that for the past 17 years, and right until now, I started the BlocBox.
Okay, and you started it with Saurish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saurish, can you tell us a little bit
Sure.
about your background?
Yeah, so I have been with ship management and ship owning companies for the last 15 years and mostly handling the procurement section. So I was global head of procurement in my previous company, which is Rickmer Ship Management. And while I was in the procurement, I realized that there's lack of data analytics and data analytics tools in the maritime scenario as such. So then that's when I decided let me start something of my own. And there were not enough vendors who were providing this service. So I thought, why don't I take my expertise of procurement and the maritime and analytics and start something of my own? And then happened to meet Kenny, who had a very interesting idea of how to put data on blockchain. And then we got together and we said, hey, let's do something on this. And then that's how the BlocBox came about. So BlocBox is basically black box on blockchain. Yeah.
So how did you meet?
So technically, Saurish was my customer. As
Yeah.
you know, I provide satellite comms for most of his vessels in his company. His global procurement. So, of course, we communicate a lot because there were so many ships that is under Saurish management, and then he has. At that time, he was already constantly doing analytics for his fleet of vessels. He's doing it in a very manual way.
Right.
He gets the ship captain to send data on Excel file, and sometimes dealing with ship captains can be challenging, and the transmission of that itself, it's also a little bit flimsy. So as he mentioned, so he was having a lot of frustration, and on one hand he was trying to analyze so that he could optimize the management of the vessel and manage the cost of operating that vessel. But on the other hand, he has a lot of difficulty getting all this data and all that. So one fine day, while we were having our meetings and all that, I just briefly mentioned that if only we could put data onto a blockchain or on a cloud, right? For the VDR. A VDR is actually a black box, a black box that is on a plane. Similarly, it's mandatory for all ships to have the black box. So I was just telling him, if we had this data, this black box data on the blockchain itself, then it solves a lot of problems. And one obvious problems is obviously if the plane goes down, like the most high profile case of recent is MH370.
Yeah.
In an issue like that, right? The plane could not be found till today. Or some people say they're found in Cambodia. That's the latest news. But it has been 4 years. Nothing, no leads, and nobody knows why, when, or how did the plane go down. But imagine if we had that data already on the blockchain, then there's no need to look for answers by retrieving the physical capsule. So that's for aviation. And in the case for maritime, right, on the ships, first of all, it solves the problem of retrieving data. That's for the case of like storage problem, and in the incident of a collision between two vessels and whatsoever, our experience tells us that depending on which side you are on, the side that is making that mistake will have this tendency to tamper with the data or deliberately misplace the data or turn off the black box on the ship, things like that. But if this data is on the chain real time, then no more monkey business. So these are the benefits, the obvious benefits that you could see from having data analytics and storing them onto a blockchain, and nobody can tamper it.
So you're saying that the data is constantly being updated, or
Yeah.
Yes.
is that from your connection with the satellite that is
That's right.
Yes.
constantly being
Yeah.
updated via satellite?
That's right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And because a lot of people ask us, why wasn't thought about before, or
Yeah.
why was
I was going to get onto that.
Yeah, because the satellite communications maybe 3-4 years back was not as advanced, and that's where our team's expertise come in, because Kenny has a deep experience in satellite communication. So we have 2 co-founders who are actually in satellite communication and 2 who are from the maritime background.
So you're
it's-
half the team.
Yes, we have the team.
Yeah,
So half the
yeah.
team is working.
Yeah.
So someone has to take care of the office. But so it was a perfect marriage, because nowadays you almost have, even if you travel with A380 Emirates and all those airlines, you actually have internet for even the passengers. So this is the satellite communications is improving. There's more connectivity. It's cheaper, and hence we can actually now talk about all the solutions.
So the okay, I mean, we're all aware of what's going on with blockchain.
Yes.
Why wasn't this done before? Why couldn't you? I mean, you mentioned before that satellite communications
Yes.
has been updated,
Yeah.
but satellite networks have been around for a long time. Why didn't people, say, use a sort of a hardware storage system, say like what Google have with their
Right.
disk storage?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that before? How does that help?
Yeah, so actually there has been recent developments wherein people are actually trying to put data on the cloud. To be honest, blockchain is also a very new technology. I mean, it's still getting matured, and you have different consensus protocols coming up now. So I think people are just getting a grasp of it. So what happened, I think, with the blockchain technology, that's my personal opinion, of course, in the last 4 years, people had a lot of hype about blockchain, but people are not getting the actual use case, how to use blockchain. So blockchain was just a fancy word, but I think now it's a time when people are actually getting, they're realizing, okay, now we can do so much things with blockchain. I think now the realization is coming. I think we see a lot of companies now coming with very good use cases, but we believe like we are kind of the first in this space.
So you're the first in the space. So who would you see were your direct competitors? Would it be somebody copying you? What gives you the edge in this space that, say, and the alternative solution where, say, if Google were to get in and just upload data?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for this, right, I can say that just with any other technology to speak, right, you cannot stop copying. Whatever you do, whichever industry you are, there will certainly be some companies with a bigger pocket that will copy and duplicate. But I think our selling point is our team. So our co-founders, four of us, we were all in the maritime industry. So that gives us an edge that perhaps it's not that just money can replace, but for us, with our experience in terms of satellite and the knowledge, like in the case of Saurish, the knowledge 16 years, 16 years of knowledge of managing a ship, and his network, his contacts, and all that. It makes it a lot easier for us to get into the space, and we understand the needs of the industry, of our customers.
Yeah, and maritime, just to add on Kenny's valid points, it's like maritime is a very people's industry. So everyone kind of knows everyone, and we even millions of dollars of deals are actually signed over a coffee table or over a drinks. So and people need a lot of trust in the maritime industry, and that can be achieved only if you have worked there. So I think, as he rightly mentioned, network is very important. I mean, technology is something you can always develop, but I think to understand the pain points of the industry and to contact the right people, the right stakeholders is very important.
So do you own the ships yourself, or is it you?
No, my previous companies, we used to own ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to work for ship owning companies as well as ship managing companies. Yeah.
Yeah. So now your role in the company is?
More on the technology side, basically developing the infrastructure. Of course, we have blockchain developers and programmers who are doing the actual coding and all. But myself and Kenny, we both, actually there are a lot of overlapping roles we have. we develop the infrastructure, how it's going to be, and what to be done on the analytics side, etc., etc.
So your roles are based on your previous career
Right.
and your knowledge
Yes.
In the industry.
Yes, we thought it's apt.
Yeah. So now you're working with engineers to develop
Yes,
a
absolutely.
technical solution to the
Yes.
problems you've identified.
Exactly.
Okay. So when you are looking for people to work with, say, engineers, what are you looking for? What kind of a person are you looking for to join your company?
I think for me, is the most important of all is attitude.
Yeah.
I think it trumps over academic results and things like that. I think a lot of things can be learned, but attitude is not something that you can learn. You either have it or you don't. So whoever that we want in our team, for one, must believe in what we do. That person must be passionate. And we also want that party to be a go-getter, to have initiative and to want to get things done and completed in the right way. I think that's what we are looking at for people that's joining our team.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the guy has to be a little bit creative, because whatever we are doing now in this space is very experimental, because a lot of things have never been done before. Even our protocol, what we are developing, is a new protocol, and we're going to patent it very soon. So there's a lot of trial and error, and we always, like, every other day we come out with a creative idea. Okay, let's do this. Maybe this is the right way to go. So I think we need this from our other team members, engineers as well.
Yeah, someone who is willing to think out of the box.
Yes.
Yeah. And okay, so you mentioned someone that's willing to think out of the box. So you've come up with your idea. What will give you the edge in the future that other people haven't thought of? What makes this the key to the solution?
I think it's our vision. Okay, our vision to actually create an ecosystem solely for maritime and then aviation. Okay, a lot of people don't understand the maritime industry. Of course, it's not a B2C kind of business. It's a B2B business. So maritime is very complicated. Just the supply chain alone. Just imagine the amount of equipment and provisions and that you require on a ship that is probably 20,000 tons, right? Yeah, it's just so many of them, and then you have the other element of crewing, which is a big deal in the maritime industry today. Crewing is one part that we have to pay attention to. The way the welfare that these crews are getting on board. Do they have connectivity? Do they have access to contact the families? It's only of the recent 2 to 3 years that these ship crews have access to such. But still, it's dependent on the ship owner or the ship manager, how generous they are and how willing they are to give this welfare to these ship crews on board their vessels. And I must say, actually today, a lot of them are they're not getting basic connection that I think they deserve. So we want to build an ecosystem that even encompasses that. So eventually, we're going to build a content platform so that all crews would be able to pay with our token to get access to internet connectivity, to get news, and to get entertainment. And that includes a movie library. So this is just one part of the entire ecosystem that we are looking at, and we think it's very powerful.
Okay, so you mentioned coin. So is that how you're financing your venture?
So we are planning. We have planned for an ICO.
Yeah.
So now we are in the pre-sales and the private sales stage, wherein we have a soft cap of $3 million and hard cap of 20 mil. And the idea of using the soft cap is basically to develop the complete ecosystem, like Kenny mentioned, for maritime. And once we reach above that, from between soft cap and hard cap is what we'll be using for the aviation development. So that's our roadmap.
Okay, so I think we can bring up the roadmap. Is that possible to bring up the roadmap? And let's have a quick look through.
think it might not be there in this document, but
okay.
But
I have a copy. I have a copy here in front
Okay.
of me. So you mentioned here. I don't know if I should hold that up. Can I hold that up?
Mm.
See, can
Yeah.
we see? Oh,
that's right.
can we see that? Yeah. Okay. So I'll just we'll go back and
Yeah.
I'll just say. So you're at the sort of second stage here, preparation for ICO.
That is right.
And so it's your completion of proof of concept.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so we are actually so the proof of concept is going on, but we already have signed up with a ship management company to do the trial, wherein we're actually testing out our device on board, and of course, and then meanwhile we're also trying to raise funds, and then we go for the actual implementation. Then satellite. So we have big plans. So we also want to go into the satellite division, go in for the aviation, and in the end we want to also go for the railway. So basically our idea is to completely take the transport safety aspect,
Yeah.
address the transport safety aspect.
Okay. And if we look at the roadmap here, you've got your timetable planned out right
Yes.
the way till 2021.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So you look very well. You've thought it out very well here.
Yes, I think I think that's what when Kenny was mentioning about vision. So we had a very clear mission. We had a lot of workshops within the founders. So we wanted to all plan it out so that that we don't look like unstructured and it's not like unplanned. So it's all planned out. Of course, there might be roadblocks in the future, or maybe we can achieve that goals even faster than what we have planned out.
Have you spoken to potential clients?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
And what were their feelings on that?
They were all very appreciative of the thought process and the project as well. So
Yeah.
because for us it's not important. So we have different segments of clients. So for example, in maritime we have ship owners. We also have ports. Like we are talking also to the MPA.
The
MPA
MPA is a Maritime Port Authority of Singapore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
More on the funding part, but and also insurance companies. We have talking to the vendors. So we want to have the complete ecosystem with us, because that's where the success of a project or the product lies.
And are you based purely in Singapore at the moment, or have you
Yeah.
spoken to because shipping isn't about
Global.
Yeah.
it's a global.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I think Singapore is a very big maritime hub. So it's a good place to start. I mean, we are fortunate to be able to start this company here in Singapore. But certainly, I agree with you. Maritime, it's an international business. So we have plans to expand overseas, and you could see our roadmap that we are actually looking to set up our Europe office as well as a US office in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so are you aware of what's going on internationally? Because you're here in Singapore,
Yeah.
and what you mentioned Saurish.
Yeah.
Saurish.
Saurish,
You
yeah.
mentioned earlier that everyone knows each other in the
Yes.
global
Correct.
market.
Yeah.
So are you aware of what potential competitors are up to?
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of know, like I said, there are some companies who are trying to do what we are doing, putting the video data on cloud, but not on blockchain. Again, there are some companies who are doing blockchain, but not exactly the applications we are doing. So they're doing bits and pieces here and there, but there's no clear competitor for us, at least in the space now. Maybe after hearing the podcast, there may be, but not yet.
Yeah.
But and like to address your earlier point, like I have been working for a German ship company for a long time, so I have good network in Germany. I think Kenny visits China, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand very often. So, and I'm basically an Indian, so the Indian market is quite well known to us. So, and these are all the big maritime hubs which we have covered, and we have network also.
So what are you looking for next? So we're at the point now where I look at it, you're in the process of proving the concept.
Yeah.
Apart from once you've completed and you've done your MVP, what will you then be looking for?
So I think after that it will be actual deployment of the technology, and that's where I think, like they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So then once people actually see the value of the analytics, the different stakeholders, and our next step is actually the BlocBox protocol, what we are developing. We want to also sell that as a service. So like you must have heard of SaaS, software as a service. So BaaS, which is blockchain as a service, is also getting very popular now. So we want to sell that BlocBox protocol or the platform, how the way it's designed, as a service to companies who want to take up and not for very high fees. We want to encourage people to use blockchain more. So that of course we're not going to make it open source. We don't have as deep pockets as the other IBM Hyperledger, etc. But we want to encourage more and more people to come on the blockchain platform.
But if somebody you mentioned open source, if somebody came along and produced a similar product to you, open source,
Right.
How would that affect you? How do you think that would affect you?
I think it again comes back to the previous point what we mentioned. It'll the way it's designed and it's very important for us or for anyone to develop to know the different stakeholders, and it has to be somewhere from within the maritime industry, and we don't see many people developing that at the moment. So if it's a big player like IBM and all, I think they'll have to first understand the maritime industry, and I think it might be a case of joint venture more than they developing something on their own.
Yeah. So, David, if I may, I'd like to touch on your question on what do we look for? By third quarter of this year, we would have a fully workable product and commercially available. Privately, I'm unable to disclose the names of the company, but I have actually spoken to a couple of ship owners, medium ones. They're not really huge, but overseas ship owners per se. And actually, they have expressed interest, but they actually wanted to do this trial with us. But because of the first MOU that we signed with the ship owner, it's supposed to be exclusive. So because of that, we can't. I think that's a good sign. I think it's a good sign that these ship owners looking at our portfolio, looking at what we are trying to achieve, and we show them what we have as it is today. I think it impresses them, which is the reason why they wanted us to do the trial on their vessels instead. But for some reasons we can't. But I think once that product is available, these are the ship owners that will be ready to adopt our solution.
So what advantage do they think your product will give them?
Okay, the maritime space is facing a lot of challenges. One of the challenges the carbon tax that will be implemented on all ships in 2020, and that is next year. You're talking about next year. The entire maritime industry is actually scrambling to meet this requirement. So this carbon. I'll try to be layman on that. Let me give you an example. Ships alone contribute 40% of the carbon emission in the world. But
that's amazing.
Yes, but think about it. I mean, you probably have like a 40 to 60,000 big and small vessels that is operating, comparing to the number of vehicles that is on the road in the world. But ships alone contribute 40% of that carbon emission because of the quality of fuel that they use.
Yep.
Now, the world is going green. A lot of governments around the world, especially the EU, are very particular with that. So it's a good thing that we are addressing this problem. It's everybody's problem. Global warming is everybody's problem. So they're forcing this down the throat to the ship owners. Look, you have to do something to make sure that you reduce your carbon footprint. And because of that, obviously, using a better fuel is nothing to do with BlocBox. But with BlocBox, with data analytics, they can judge on the spot live if what is the amount of a carbon emission real time on each of the individual vessels. I think this is a very good use case for the maritime industry on BlocBox. So that's one. As we know, managing costs is always a key point in every company across all industry. With data analytics, right, they would be able to optimize. They would be able to understand what is going on board the ship, how the machines are performing, and are they taking the optimal route to their destination. With real-time data analytics, they can react immediately. And they don't have to rely the traditional emails to have this correspondence and things like that, which is actually happening today.
What ships are being communicated by email?
Yes. I mean, ships has been communicating by email since like 2004, and at that time, we cannot. I mean, we have to understand that at that time the satellite technology only allows like 64 kilobits per second to 128 kilobits per second of a data connectivity. With that kind of connectivity, you can only send email.
Yeah.
So that has been that for, I think, probably in the past decade up till 2013. That is when the satellite technology has improved and it has become affordable. It has become affordable for these assets to have some form of connection, and you're looking at 1 megabits per second. So as with any other things, once there is internet connectivity, then it enables a lot of possibilities. And data analytics, BlocBox is one of them.
Yeah, and just to add to one more point and how we have designed the protocol or the transaction is that, so we always say that data is gold, data is important. So a lot of people, like especially the ship owners, are just giving data free to people who want it, and they are actually monetizing the data. So we have developed a model inside the protocol wherein the ship owners, who's the owner of the data, they're generating a lot of data, vessel data, fuel data, VDR data. So as and when other stakeholders require the data, they get a part of the transaction fees. So they get actually incentivized for the data they are sharing. And this is a very revolutionary model. So in fact, when we are having, I won't name the shipping company, but we're having a discussion and we said, we're going to give back money. They said, wow, I never heard that someone is going to give me money for installing a solution. And our solutions are very, very reasonably priced. And so the idea is not to make the ship owners invest heavily into a product, because everyone is going through a tough time. So that's, I think, one of the big advantages we have.
So you've built a startup on this idea.
Yeah.
Did you think about taking it to a larger company that may be interested in the solution?
As of now, we just want to get this thing up and running.
Yeah.
So you haven't been turned away by anyone to say
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but why a startup? Because you look at being an entrepreneur is challenging, and you mentioned before we came on the air that you've spent in the last 9 months you've worked for 2 years.
Yeah.
So what made you do that? What's driving you?
Well, for me, I think I've always been an entrepreneur by heart. So I this is not my first project. Actually my satellite company was also started by me, back in 2004. So for me, whenever I see an opportunity, I want to put that opportunity into action, and I want to make things happen. I believe with our knowledge and all that, we can make a difference. We can make a difference to the way the maritime industry works. And yes, and it's because of this spirit that I have. I think let's just do it.
Yeah, I think I have similar experience with Kenny as well. So I've always been into this entrepreneur thing, although part time. Wherever I see a gap and I say let's do something about it. Let's address this logically. So I have been involved in startups all the while, but 2017 is when I thought let's take a plunge. So I have my other firm, which is consulting firm. We also are doing event space. So basically we have our own event space where we talk about technology. We invite people, because what we realize is it's not good enough to just sell a solution to the maritime industry. They should know about the technology advances. They should be mentally prepared to accept the solution. So that's what also we are trying to do.
So you were working, although you had a full-time job.
Yeah.
You also had startups on the side.
Yeah.
So you didn't just jump in and say, Do you have families?
Yeah. Two. Yeah, my wife is actually based in US. So that gives me a little bit of more space here to because I have like odd hours of working, and you just have to attend meetings sometimes, at very short notice.
So when you told your wife, look, I know I have this secure job going. I'm thinking of getting involved with Kenny here, who's got, we've come up with this idea. what was her
Well,
reaction?
she was very supportive. She always knew that I had this entrepreneur spirit in me. So, but yeah, when I discussed with my parents after I left the job, of course they said, "Oh, so now you're unemployed." I said, "No, I'm an entrepreneur."
Yeah.
They said it's the same as being unemployed. I said, "Okay, never mind."
So
yeah.
is that continuing?
No, I think now they are realizing now that there's something coming out of it. When I show them the presentation, my website, they say, "Oh yeah, we are very proud of you." And I think also the friends have supported quite a lot. We have a lot of friends who always boost us, say, "Okay, just go for it."
Yeah.
There are times when you feel that have I taken the right decision, but I think
Yeah.
we've gotten over it.
So when you reach those times, and you're asking yourself, have I taken the right decision?
Yeah.
What do you tell yourself?
So I think that's the best time. Actually, I call up my friends. I said, "What do you think? Should I go back to taking a job?" They said, "No. I think we know that you can do it. You have a good vision. You have good out of the box thinking. I think it's just a tough time. Let's go for it."
And then Kenny, who
Kenny
you've
is-
just called,
Yes.
yeah, he tells you to carry on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So Kenny, when you have those times, what do you do?
Yeah, referring to
The times when you think maybe this isn't such a good idea. I mean, it probably doesn't happen very often because you've got experience.
Yeah.
But in your past, maybe in your first startup, how did you get through it?
Well, I can say for entrepreneurs, right, Ben, at every stage, I believe most entrepreneurs at some point they will have self-doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when when the going is tough, they will start to question themselves if they are capable enough, if it's the right decision. My answer is there is no right or wrong decision when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's a gamble, right? So it's a gamble, if it's a calculated risk and you think it's worth the gamble, then just go for it. And when the going gets tough, right, then just tell yourself that no, you chose this. So let's just go through this.
Yeah.
Then that's me.
No.
That's me.
I think also I want to add also we have a very good board of advisors with us, and some of them I actually look forward to as mentors. So when times like this come, I'll definitely go to them and say, because they are the stalwarts in the industry, they're thought leaders. So if they acknowledge that no, what you're doing is right, I think then we think we are on the right track.
So how did you find your board of advisors?
It's mostly through networking,
Yeah.
networking at different events. Different. Some of them are my ex-colleagues, so it's a very small space, like I said. So and recently also we for the aviation sector we got Mr. Privin, who's ex-founder of AirAsia. So he will give us a good inroad into the aviation sector as well. And Maritime, of course, we have good board with us.
So are you paying these advisors, or
They have been very kind so
They've
far.
been very kind.
Yes.
They believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you go to them and you're with an issue, how does that process work? So you have an issue and you say, well, Kenny, Saurish, we can't solve this together.
Yeah.
I think we need to call on one of our advisors.
Yeah.
How does that process work?
So usually, if you see, our board is very diverse. So we have representation from the master mariner to chief engineer, as well as there's one guy who's actually a startup entrepreneur himself. So I think we address. We go to these people as and when. Let's say it's a maritime related problem, then we go to the master mariner. If it's something to the finance, then we go to the startup guy. Because he has gone through this process of raising funds as well. So far I think they have been very, very welcoming. I think we have not had roadblocks, and being a new space itself, so everything is kind of new. So we didn't have any roadblock as such, and I think we have also chosen a board who are actually forward thinking. So they actually also believe in technology, because it was very important for us to get those right people, because otherwise we can't get someone who's actually not pro technology and then advising us.
Yeah.
So would you make a phone call, or is it a face-to-face meeting?
It's usually face-to-face, because most of them are based here
Yeah.
in Singapore. So it's easy. We just have to ring them up and set up a meeting, and they're always accommodating. Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to tell us about, or what else can you tell us about the company that we haven't touched on? Any?
Well, I can let's put it this way. I know I don't have big words for that, but I can say of my team, we are very aggressive, and we know what we want and where we're going to, and I truly believe that after this fundraising exercise, we will take this company to the next level. Surely.
How much are you looking for?
Our soft cap is 3 million.
3 million.
Yes, and hard cap is 20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And over what period will you be expecting to raise that?
Maybe between 4 to 6 months. We are looking at that kind of timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think just to add to Kenny's, I think also we have a shared vision of this being a Singapore company, right? We want to establish Singapore on the world map, and it's I think it's high time that some good thing comes out of Singapore. I mean, there are many, like there is examples of Grab, etc., but also all these companies.
Okay.
Also, company like us.
Yeah. Okay. So, how can people get in touch with you? I think that's what I need to know.
Sure, I
find
think
out.
there are plenty of ways.
Yes. Plenty of channels.
So I think the LinkedIn profiles will be shared, I believe.
Yeah.
And we have all our Twitter account, Telegram. We have Telegram group as well. So and our email IDs also.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to mention them now so that?
Sure. So my LinkedIn handle is saurish.nandi. I think Kenny's is kenny.co. Yeah.
And our email address is for mine it's kenny.co@blockbox.io.
Yeah.
And mine is saurish.nandi@blockbox.io. Very simple one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for-
We'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Pleasure.